Hi there, I'm Allison Van Schie alongside Caregiver Consulting. 2021 has flown by for me, and perhaps like many of you, I had hoped that COVID-19 would be a thing of the past by now. But sadly, it's still here, and it shapes how we work with caregivers, as many of their needs intensified with challenges brought about by the pandemic. I was able to creatively continue working as a caregiver consultant. This meant lots of Zoom meetings and consultations over Zoom. The support groups had to be adjusted to comply with health orders, but meeting together in this supportive way was so vital for caregivers, so we broke into smaller groups. When we were able to meet back together as a full group again, it was a real joy. We have now expanded to offer a faith-based support group as well. There was a brief moment of sunshine in the COVID pandemic world, and I took advantage of participating in a fundraising event to raise awareness for seniors' issues in the Comox Valley, where I live. I embraced this fully and became a team captain of the Alongside Caregivers team for the Grand Parade. We had a beautiful day for our walk, except one participant who joined us virtually from a rainy and cold location, but I love her tenacity and support. Thank you, Nikki. Towards the end of the year, I began creating little videos for caregivers to offer tips and suggestions for other caregivers. My favorite series was the Caregiver Tip Jar series, where 6 ladies from one of the support groups offered a tip each. If you watch the clips, you'll see the support and banter within the group in the background. That shows its cohesion, and it is so heartwarming. That's what makes a support group a safe and welcoming place for caregivers who need that positive in what may feel like a bleak period in their lives. Now it's December. One more video to mention, the Caregiver's Wish List, featuring Mrs. Claus. This video highlights the needs of caregivers and stresses how anyone can help a caregiver simply by offering to sit with a care recipient can provide the caregiver with a much needed break. On a personal note, this year started with the loss of the family patriarch. As a family spread across the country, we were able to honor him first with a virtual funeral, and then later in the year with an in-person celebration of his life. Working through some of the challenges we encountered with the virtual aspect of a funeral and deferring a celebration of life helped me gain a greater understanding of the challenges we all face because of the pandemic, especially during losses. And finally, I want to talk to you about the Island Treasures podcast that I hear continue to be a great resource for caregivers. That's so encouraging because that's what they were intended to be. I also hear that there are times when folks don't have the opportunity to listen to a full episode. So I introduced the Island Treasures mini podcasts, which are gaining in popularity. I am blessed by all my guests. I thank you all. I have had opportunity to virtually meet so many knowledgeable caregivers and folks who provide caregiver resources and are willing to share their stories so freely. What a caring place the caregiver community is. And in October, I obtained a sponsor for the podcasts. Here's their message.
This episode is sponsored by Caregiver Contractors, where we care too.
Thank you, Caregiver Contractors. Your support and care is greatly appreciated. Before I close, I want to recap the podcast from 2021 in this brief video story called The Musician's Daughter. I hope you will enjoy it and perhaps recognize each of the titles as they come up. And if you are a caregiver or know a caregiver who could benefit from some supports, I invite you to listen to the Island Treasures podcast for caregivers or visit the alongsidecaregiverconsulting.ca website, where there's a contact button if you need to reach me. As promised, here's the podcast recap video for 2021. I hope you enjoy this short story from The Musician's Daughter. The signs were there. I was noticing changes in my dad, and I knew it was time to take action so I could have his skills retained, and for that I needed to use a strength-based approach to dementia care. That meant I should start strong as a caregiver. So I put on the caregiving cape and tackled the dementia puzzle, and then I danced. I was able to find growth in caregiving, and that meant there was healing through trauma. Although as I looked through the lens of a long-haul caregiver, I knew that for me, there had been no trauma. I was fortunate. So this was the perfect opportunity for me to start preserving memories before he doesn't know me. And because I have no time for burnout, I heed my friend's suggestion to make sure to have 4 hugs a day. And that suggestion is also a parting gift to you. Thank you for watching. I hope you recognize the titles of each of the podcast episodes from 2021. Take care.